Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the various current affairs programs and documentaries doing the rounds at the moment, and actually have been for a couple of years now, about the various visa scams, migration agent scams that occur in dirt poor basket case third world overpopulated countries like India. Now, there's just one I saw recently which got me got me back onto it. So it begins with the violin music. Little Chandra, dressed in pink no less. Little Chandra dreams of being an astronaut. Her dreams of an astronaut, but they've been shattered by corrupt migration agents. Now, the migration agents are in India, although that's not focused upon. They deal with this pretty much in passing. That this little Chandra is brown, and she wants to come to the West because of her dreams. She wants to come to. She's entitled to come to the West, and it's all part of the wider sort of mass migration propaganda here. And anything that prevents or obstructs or somehow hinders little Chandra from coming to the West is the bad thing. The mass migration is the issue. The corruption and the Indians ripping each other off, and it's a corrupt basket case. No, don't focus on that. Little Chandra's dreams are the issue. And so there should be other ways for little Chandra to come to the West, to Australia in this case. Why can't she just walk in? She has dreams. She has dreams. Why can't she just walk in? This idea of having to go through paperwork and this and that and so on, it's oppression. It's oppression that's dreamed up by an oppressive white government that quite possibly a Hitler, by the way. So there has to be other ways of doing. The fact that Chandra has to meet any criteria or standard, has to meet anything at all, whether it be in health, whether she can have skills or speaks English or so on. It's all Nazi fascist oppression. And that's why little Chandra, with her dreams, this peasant girl from some peasant village out in the middle of dreams of being an astronaut. And that alone is enough. Those dreams are enough to entitle her to just walk straight into a first world country without having to meet a single career. Her dreams. So, and again, the violin music, and it's little Chandra crying, more violin music, little Chandra crying again, yet more violin music, little Chandra crying a third time, yet more violin music, and on it goes. So what's going on here in the wider scheme of things? Well, now I feel bad for little Chandra, by the way. She hasn't got any money. Her family's coughed up, I think it was $15,000 to the migration agent. It seems, based on this particular current affairs program, the migration agent or someone posing as a migration agent, and there are hundreds upon hundreds of them all over. Rural India, by the way, it's an industry in itself. The idea there's just one or two migration, no. In a rural township, there could be 100 migration agents. It can be one per 1,000 of population. It's one of the most serviced industries in India. If you're looking at what is a growth industry in India, it is a migration agent to get Indian peasants into the West, fully supported and approved of by NGOs, by the United Nations, and even by Western governments. The more brown and black people can be brought into the West, then the better. And the standards they have to meet aren't very high, and even those can't be met by most. We also need to look at the wider picture here. India is overpopulated to the tune of 400 to 500 million people, if not more. And pretty much anybody who's got any sort of aspirations at all in India wants to get out. They're gagging to come to the West. Now, their vision or version or view of the West is infantile. They view the West as just an endless run of golden streets paved with gold. It's endless. It just goes on forever. No matter how many Indians come into the West, 100 million, 200 million, 300, 400, 500, 600, it doesn't matter. That those riches are just there to be picked. And Indians aren't coming to share or to contribute or to build wealth, they're coming to take. And this is one of my big sort of complaints about India. I mean, out of a population well over 1 billion, you're going to find some that do contribute, I'm sure. But the central issues they're coming to take. And they're taught in the schools and by their Brahmin masters, overlords. They're taught that, well, India was this really, really fantastically rich country, incredibly rich. Milk and honey flowed through the streets, and then the white people came and took it all. So we're going to go to Whitey's country now. We're going to go to the white countries to take back what they stole from us. They stole it. That's why they're rich, because they stole it from us. So we're just going back to so the people are taught this. So they think they have an underlying thing. They've got to justify. They have a right to go to the West. A right, by the way, that it doesn't exist. But this fantasy of they have a right and entitlement is also fully supported by the globalist mass migration machine and by the globalist controlled mass media. So you've got this supposed journalist running around India in one of these current affairs programs, and this white this white lesbian who looks more like a furniture removalist than a journalist, and she's strolling around India, looking and little Chandra with the violin music and the pink. So it is. Chandra supposedly went to a migration agent, another Indian who took her money that was borrowed by her family, or allegedly borrowed by her family, to help her get to, in this case, Australia, but it could have been any other Western country. And she supposedly passed a rigorous verbal and written English exam. Yet when talking to the camera, she can't speak one word of English, nor can any of her family members. So my guess is that was corrupt. She also, even though she comes from an Indian village without any access to medical care, she apparently goes through rigorous medical tests and comes through with those in flying colours. I don't believe that. So I believe there's a whole lot of corruption. Now, the Indians believe corruption is a way of that's how you do things. You bribe people. Do you present cogent arguments or reasons why they should do business with you? No, you bribe it. That's how that bakshish. That's just how they see the world. In fact, they see you estranged by not seeing the world that way. So they're completely okay with bribing anyone to get what they want. But if the person takes the money and doesn't give them, then that's somehow illegal or bad or something like that. But the documentary or the current affairs program doesn't cover that. It doesn't cover that India is a seething basket case of corruption. That's not mentioned. Now, it is wrong, and I do feel bad to them if they paid for something and didn't get the service in return, or were supplied with fraudulent documents or something. Then that is a cause of concern, and I hope the proper authorities deal with it, and those responsible are brought before a court of law. I do hope that happens and they get some redress. But the point is that they were more than happy to, little Chandra and her family were more than happy to engage in a corrupt scheme. She never passed any fucking English test. She never passed any medical test, I believe. And so they were more than happy to engage in corrupt practices as long as it suited them and they get what they want. She supposedly then got a position as a student visa to study at wherever. And turns out all this was fraudulent, and there, but on the surface at least, there appears to be forged documents and this sort of thing. It's alleged that some of these scammers can get millions of dollars from these people, from rural families, millions of dollars to arrange visas. Because again, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of Indians are gagging to get the fuck out of India and into this West that they imagine as just streets paved with endless gold. They've got this childlike fantasy vision, and Indians I've met, they say, from when I was a little boy or a little girl, all I dreamed about was going to the White West. Once they get to the White West, of course, it's a nest of Nazis and fascists and so on. But nonetheless, that's what they dream about. So now Punjab is one of the biggest suppliers of Indians wanting to get the fuck out of India. You know, you look at Canada, for example, you'd think that it had become Punjab. A lot of the Indians I meet around here are from Punjab. And they've got this terribly entitled view and the attitude, and there's a very Punjabi type sort of behavior and manner of speaking and presentation and huge entitlement, absolutely off the charts entitlement of these people, and this strange smug chip on shoulder, super chip on shoulder superiority and condescension. So you know, it's a pugnacious sort of defensiveness, really. But in India, there's a sort of a bragging rights thing, which is huge and features very prominently in Indian culture now, is to get one of your either one of your children or a family member, or even someone from the village, to get them to go to the West, because they have this vision that if you can just get just one family member into a Western country, then the whole family can be brought along afterwards. So it's like a passport for the whole family to go to a rich country, then live off white people's welfare, and to go and work for the many Indian franchise operators there, be paid cash under the table, and and just sort of export your corrupt practices from India to the white country, Britain, Australia, or elsewhere. Indians, when they say, well, why do you want to come to Australia? Well, they talk about, India's so corrupt, everything's so dirty, it's overcrowded, the government's incompetent, nothing works, everything's up the shit. That's why I came to the Western country, where there's no corruption, or much less corruption. The trains and buses run on time, the public services function, and this sort of thing. And when I apply for a job in India, there are 3,000 applicants for each job. When I apply for a job in Australia, there's nowhere near that many. There's not even 100 applicants, and so on and so forth. The place is not crowded. There's no crime. There's no religious riots and the like. So they come here for that, but then they bring the very problems that they're supposed to be running away from with them. So they engage in terrible corrupt practices. They're very tribal. They want special handouts. They create ghettos. If they get into any position of authority, they will only hire and benefit other Indians. They only want to spend the money with other Indians. So they want to keep it in the family and the tribe and the culture, and they don't want to share anything with the white people. They'll take white people's stuff, but they don't want to share it or give back or anything like that, unless like through they buy their food at a national grocery chain or something. Even when it comes to buying a car, they'll only buy a car from a car dealership that's owned by an Indian. They'll only take out food from a franchise food ownership that's owned by Indians. And so they're very, very tight. So they don't bring anything with them. They're of no benefit to the West at all. So somehow this girl, this in the feature girl, she is a star student at some rural bullshit one-room school. That's not true. I don't believe that. She's medically, she's got no disease. I don't believe that. She speaks excellent English, written and not. No, I don't believe that. So that's all a scam. So she paid someone, or her family paid someone to falsely pass her and say that she was a suitable student, and making all the corrupt documents that she passed the English test and so on when she didn't. So these corrupt agents that are fully supported again by the mass migration industry are corruptly passing all sorts of workers and students and work visas to go to the West. So it's a massive corrupt industry involving billions upon billions, and hundreds of millions of people wanting to get out of India or other third world countries and come to the West. So it is a shame that it's corrupt, but it is a shame that the family lost the money. But when rural villages will get together, they will all pool their money and their resources and put up their little strip farms to banks and finance companies that are themselves gagging to lend money to these farmers to get just one of their number into the West. which is then the passport for the entire fucking village to go to the West. So it's a massive, it's a massive scam from beginning to end, regardless of whether Little Chandra was ripped off. It's a massive scam from beginning to end. And the amount of Indians, Chinese, it doesn't matter. The amount of people that come into Australia supposedly speak good English and they're fucking illiterate, supposedly have PhDs, and they've never even been anywhere near a high school, let alone a fucking university, supposed to have various skills which they don't have. It gives you an idea. It gives you just a concept of how vast the scam industry is. Now the docos, the current affairs documentaries, they concentrate on little Chandra with violin music and her crying her dreams. But the bottom line is that it is a massive scam from beginning to end, encouraged, fostered and supported by the mass migration industry, the globalist cabal. You've been attached to us today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.